I came on and I just happened to glance and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man, or something looked like a man. I don't know what it was. Just it ran across the yard.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was. Whatever it is, it's running. I couldn't catch it.
Well, nothing really interesting happened in episode 9, so on to the season finale, episode 10. I'm Adam Noyes.
I'm Bill Worcester.
And we're not giving a crap about episode 9, so, yeah. Okay, now, to be completely honest, sorry that there was no Afterthoughts of Finding Bigfoot episode, because I'm very happy to see that I'm actually building up a fan base. So right now I'm basically split between Godzilla fans and Bigfoot people, so... Like, I have a few diehard followers now of this show, and I'm very happy. Thank you guys a lot. Anyways. So nothing really interesting happened in episode 9. Just some of your quick thoughts on that, Bill.
Well, I agree. It was a very slow episode, and they pretty much came out right out and said that in the beginning of the episode when they were in northern Indiana. First, I mean, we're not going to really go into too much into depth because the season finale is what we really want to talk about, but the only things I want to say is the opening video was, I'm pretty confident in saying that that's probably 100% a hoax.
Yeah. Almost
definitely. I mean, just the way the thing looked, the way it moved, the reactions, and the way the interview was carried out, probably a hoax. Especially the way that the thing looked when it first came out from behind the tree.
Yeah.
And as Cliff pointed out, the arms look like a costume. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a hoax. And then the supposed what happened in the 9-day investigation following that pretty much said to me, okay, yeah, that was probably a hoax. There aren't Sasquatches in northern Indiana, or there probably aren't. All right, now we're down to South Indiana, and it was the same thing.
Right, Indiana has no Bigfoots.
No, they probably don't. And I mean, honestly, I didn't find any of the reports that compelling. I didn't find their night investigation that compelling. Although I did change my mind about the whole fireworks thing. In the previous episode, I said that I didn't really like that idea. I thought it was dumb. I changed my mind. I thought they executed it really well, and they did it in a way that was creative, and it seemed like it could work in a different environment.
Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about in this episode. I mean, there was literally like no activity.
No, except for that one call, which I barely even heard, so I can't really comment on it.
Yeah, which is actually something I need to point out. They always call them friggin' coyotes. They're not fucking coyotes. They're wolves. Okay, there. I'm sorry for that, but it just drives me up the wall. There's a difference between coyotes and wolves. Anybody who doesn't know the differences there isn't a true naturalist or doesn't really know much about wildlife. I apologize for that, but it just drives me up the wall. There is a major difference between wolves and coyotes. They sound completely different, and I can tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, I was thinking that in this previous episode, actually.
Well, I was thinking about it. They do it in episode 10, the season finale as well.
Yeah, right in the beginning, the first sounds I hear sound just like wolves.
And they're like, coyotes, the coyotes. I'm like, no, they're not coyotes, they're wolves.
Yeah, seriously. Quick thing about episode 9. What'd you think of the whole dummy camper thing? Because I loved it.
I liked it. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm not very enthusiastic right now. One, I'm recovering from mono, and two, I've had one hell of a stressful week at school. So I'm really sorry. I sound really tired and really exhausted. I'm just apologizing right now before I get about 30 minutes into the video, and finally I'm like, oh, sorry, guys, I'm like really complaining. By that time, the trolls would have already left their comments.
Yeah, they probably would have told you to get off drugs or something, because that's what trolls do.
Yeah. But back to the dummy thing. I like it. It was creative. I'm saying a lot.
In a different setting, I think it could work really well.
It could work, and if I remember right, because I haven't seen the episode, I just rewatched episode. I just rewatched the season finale. Did they have a fire going there? Like a campfire?
Oh, I watched both today. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, you see, that's something I would have done. If they did, I can't remember. Somebody leave.
Fireworks.
Yeah. But, you know, I would have left a little campfire going, because I have to kind of say, I think a Sasquatch would be somewhat of attracted to the fire.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Or at least, if not attracted to it, at least just so curious that they want to check it out. But we have the fireworks as well to do that.
Yeah.
So, anything else about episode 9?
No, that's really it. Otherwise, it was really boring, and I almost wish I didn't watch it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it was rather boring.
Yeah, but whatever.
Okay, so on to the rather good season finale.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was well executed.
So I guess the first thing that I want to talk about, because I'm looking forward to this conversation, is the video. What are your opinions on the video?
All right. So here's the thing. First of all, I can't imagine it being even more pixelated than it already is. It's practically like invisible. The figure in the video. Two, it looks white to me, and I know Sasquatches have been reported to be gray or white, but I don't know. And that also puts a strike against it for me, since it could potentially be a person in white clothing. But you know, I kind of agree with what they were saying about how it's unlikely that a person will be doing what the figure was doing. Really, if I had to sum up the video in one word, it would be ambiguity, and in a phrase, I have no clue. It's just so pixelated. And the people who took the video, potentially drunk teenagers, didn't see it. So I've got to really put up a big question mark and say, I don't know, we'll probably never know, but I'm probably going to go with, it might have been, but I got to say, probably not.
Aha. Now here is where you and I will disagree. I actually didn't notice this. It was my father that pointed this out, and what, to me, actually made me agree with Moneymaker for the first time in the history of the show, or nearly the first time in the history of the show. And it really solidified it for me that I not going to want to say it's a Sasquatch, but I don't believe it to be a man simply walking around. During the recreation, they got it all wrong. I want to just point out, look where the thing walks out, or where it first appears. And then look where Bobo is standing. The creature, or it, is clearly behind trees. And it is clearly behind these two trees that are close together. They have sort of, they meet at a crotch. And the thing clearly walks out from behind that. Bobo is in front of it.
Yep, I noticed that too.
So that thing is bigger than what Bobo, a lot bigger than Bobo's size. A lot bigger. Because there is a little, they said that there was like, I believe they said, there was a little cliff, or there was like a bit of a little, like, decline on the other side where there was a pathway.
Oh, did that? I didn't notice that.
And so that right there made me question the recreation. The other thing I would like to mention is Bigfoots, if necessary, will be extremely quiet. And I hate using that term, will, because, again, we complain about it like on every episode that they speak in absolutes too much. But this I can say I 100% believe in. If they want to be quiet, they will be quiet.
True.
And the fact that they didn't hear it while playing with explosions, I understand.
Also true.
The fact that they didn't see it, to be honest, I can understand. Because there are a bunch of teenagers focusing on the fire.
Yeah.
I can understand that they could miss something like that. Because, I mean, you could barely see it in the video. The fact that it's white, I actually don't think it is white. I believe that it's just the fur reflecting off of the fire, or even better yet, because of the fire, it's causing the snow, it's causing a light to shine on the figure, and therefore the snow is being reflected up on it to make it appear like it is white, which there is snow on the ground if you watch the video.
All valid points, but... And the recreation thing made me angry too. Well, not really angry, but I was put off by it because to me it looked like they shot Bobo closer to the camera than the figure was. I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing things. But it almost looked like he was closer to the camera than what the figure was to the camera. Because if you look at the video, the figure's rather far off.
Yes.
Because they're far back, away from the fire, and the figure is also even further from the fire, about equal distance from the fire as they are, so it's pretty far away from the camera. Bobo looked like he was about 20 feet away from them, if not less.
Oh, he looked a lot less than that.
Yeah, I'm exaggerating a little, but he looked a lot closer. So he's going to look bigger, and he's going to fill up more of the frame, and it's going to be very hard to make a size distinction. But, again, I just have to say, it's really too ambiguous for me to call it a Sasquatch. The context doesn't help. And I'm not going to say that just because there are a bunch of teenagers potentially drunk playing with explosions that automatically means it's a hoax. Because I think they would, if they were doing a hoax, they would have reacted to it on camera. But the context of them not seeing it, the fact that it is so far away, the fact that it is so blurry, I can't really rule out anything. So I'm just going to say ambiguous, I don't know, but the context doesn't help any. I just don't know with this one. It's very, very ambiguous.
Now, for me, this is like the only time in history of the show that I actually agreed with Moneymaker. I believe that you do see, I believe at least 80% that I believe that there is something strange there. And, you know, at first, when I first watched it, you know what I honestly thought? I was thinking CG.
I was thinking that too.
Because I looked at it popping out. It just sort of seems to pop out of nowhere. But then on closer examination of the video on my own time on YouTube, I began to look at it, and you clearly see it walk out from behind what looks like a few bushes.
Yeah,
and then it crosses behind a few other trees, which is a pain in the ass to do in CG. And considering the fact that these people seem to be only in high school, I highly doubt that they have the technology to do that.
Or the patience.
Yes.
Yeah, I highly, highly doubt it's CG. I highly doubt it's a hoax. I just don't think that there's enough there in the context, and especially there in the video, to support it being potentially being a Sasquatch. So I'm gonna have to put up a big question mark and just say I don't know. So that's pretty much my whole thing with it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go with, I'm 80% sure that something out of the ordinary is there in that video, but, alright. What else can we talk about?
Well, the next thing I want to talk about, because this annoys me to no end with this show, the deer carcass.
May I just say that Moneymaker says one of the funniest things ever, and I really loved it and appreciated it when he said it. Was he was looking at the deer jaw, he was like, it could have been taken down by either a mountain lion or a squatch. And to be completely honest, I'd be more comfortable if a squatch took this down.
I like that too.
But I mean, to be honest, I think he was just saying that because of the show. I don't think he was saying that because he legitimately believed that it was a Sasquatch kill.
Yeah.
Which, something I would like to notice, Sasquatch kills, even though I don't really believe in them, Sasquatch kills, they seem to miss, for some reason, whenever there is a kill, they seem to be missing their head.
That's true.
And this one wasn't missing its head, so...
Yeah, he seems very confident in himself in saying that, oh yeah, this is a Bigfoot kill. And I'm like, but it's probably not. I mean, there's bones everywhere.
Yeah, you see, I think it could have been either killed by either a mountain lion or actually more. I actually believe more that it was killed by a pack of wolves, hence why it's scattered all over the place.
That's what I was thinking, and they heard wolves in the very first night investigation.
Yeah.
So I would be more confident in saying that it's probably either a wolves, or a mountain lion, or a couple of mountain lions, but they're more solitary than wolves are.
But something I'd also like to know, did you just get a sense that Matt Moneymaker was loving it out there?
Yeah, he seemed to be having himself a time. You know, the whole part where he saw the area of grass that was like matted down, like something laid there. Yeah, something laid there, but it looked like it was something with 4 legs.
Yeah, well, I believe he said, again, I sort of skipped around it, and I was also falling asleep. I think he said that, he did say something big laid there, and an elk is pretty big.
Yeah.
Which I want to bring up, elk a little bit later when we talk about the call that they heard, but,
yeah.
But, I did actually like it how he was lying down in it, because to be honest, I think I would do the same thing just to sort of see if, you know, it could have been something out of the ordinary, but I think if something like a Bigfoot was to lie down there, we'd see a definite shape. Because, like, if you lie down in the grass for a while, you get a certain shape. Now you can tell a human sat their fat ass there for a while.
Yes. Guilty as charged.
Like, I mean, this is me, again, hunting a lot, and just being out in the woods a lot. I can tell where a deer's bedded down, where a turkey's bedded down, just about where nearly anything has been bedded down, and including a human, or like where a human has sat down. So, I will give Matt kudos for at least, you know, trying to see if he could, you know, somehow shape it. But again, I don't think he believes that it was a Bigfoot lying there.
No, that's true. He didn't say it, so I was glad for that. I'm just saying that I don't think it was. So.
Yeah, me neither. I believe it was probably an elk.
Yeah, the way it looked like it had the bulkiness of an elk. Otherwise, though, his little trip there seemed rather uneventful. I mean, I think he said he heard some coyotes. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I think he said he heard some coyotes. Or wolves, I guess, since we never know with this team.
God, I don't understand. Why do they get this wrong, like, all the friggin' time?
The kill, you know, me and you, we've been saying throughout this entire episode, we don't think that Bigfoot hunt deer. It just doesn't make any sense with what they're supposed to be. So it's very unlikely. But if we're going to look at it in the context of that this team thinks so, who knows? It was a very who knows kind of situation. Because there were bones everywhere. As you said, the head was still on. It looked like it had been like torn at, not like in an organized fashion taken apart like you would see with something that uses its hands, but rather with something that uses its teeth, like a wolf or a mountain lion.
Yeah, I agree.
So the kill I thought was just probably not a Sasquatch. And he said that this is a Bigfoot kill. Again, he's got to stop talking in absolutes. It hurts his credibility. And,
he doesn't say this is, he said this could be. I do remember that line specifically because of the trailer.
I don't really remember the trailer. I thought he said this is, but I'm probably wrong.
Well, I just remember the trailer because I remember laughing at that line.
Just the way he says it.
Yeah.
Also, in the episode, it's clearly dubbed in.
Yeah.
Because you can't hear the wind in the background, but that's an editing criticism, not an evidence criticism, so I shouldn't really be bringing it up, but I thought it was amusing. Not really a big criticism there. So, what did you think of the folklore thing? I thought that was cool.
That was cool. I loved it when Bobo was like, "Oh, Sasquatches are real." Just people assume that like folklore is always fake. That's not necessarily true. And I love how he pointed out you don't need a nerdy scientist to prove that Bigfoot exists, which you kind of do. But I understand where he was going with this because people were telling of stories of pandas, gorillas, giant squids.
That's the one I found was really cool because I'm like, they were just proven to exist a couple of years ago.
Right, and people used to tell tales of a humanoid creature coming down and taking all their food in like China and stuff like that, and they were gorillas. And it wasn't until the late 1800s, early 1900s that gorillas were discovered.
I believe it was 1920 when gorillas were discovered. I might be wrong on that, but I think that's...
No, it was definitely earlier than that.
Okay.
It was like 1902.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
I know that because Tarzan was written during the early 1900s when they just barely discovered gorillas. So.
Okay.
Or at least mountain gorillas, anyways. I know mountain gorillas were discovered in the 1900s.
I always get them mixed up because, I'm remembering the King Kong documentary and they were talking about Komodo dragons. I think I get them mixed up sometimes because they were discovered in, I think it was either 1920 or it was 1910. Yeah,
they were discovered in the 20s, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but the Komodo dragon is another good example.
Oh, yeah, this is true. Giant dragon that they were calling. Or that the natives were saying that there were giant dragons that could bring down a buffalo or something like that. Yeah. And no one believed them until they found one, and they named it a Komodo dragon.
That's the defense I always give for the existence of Sasquatch and the fact that, we would have discovered them by now. And I'm like, yeah, but have you ever heard of something called the Komodo dragon or a giant squid? The giant squid is my favorite, actually, because it was only discovered about 5 years ago.
Right.
So that's my favorite example, because it was so recently. I mean, I remember when they were still like a myth, and I remember the thing that proved that they were real. Anyway.
Wasn't it a Japanese fishing vessel, or was it a Japanese submarine?
No, it was an actual expedition looking for them, and they actually got the video.
Yeah, it was a Japanese thing, I thought.
No, it was a Japanese research team. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Japanese research. Yeah.
What they did, you can edit this part out if you want because this is kind of unrelated, but they dropped a line down into a deep sea. I think it was a trench or something, but it was a deep sea area, and they had food hooked to each part of the line, and they put a camera at the top of the line, and what happened was they left it there for, I think it was 48 hours, maybe longer, and eventually, after hours of looking through the video, a giant squid popped into view and took some food, and was on there for like 10 minutes. And then it went away, and that was pretty much the thing that said, yeah, they're real. and on top of that, they've got all the carcasses, so...
Right. Well, you forget, since this is the season finale, we have more time than normal, so...
Okay, well, alright, well then, people, I'm still here.
Right.
So anything else you want to bring up before we move on to the night investigation?
I would like to talk about the people that were from the town meeting.
Yes.
There was only one that I truly felt like believing, and that was the guy on the road.
Joe? Yeah, me too.
He seemed like a guy who did not want to joke around, and I'm not just saying this to quote from the episode. He seemed like a guy who didn't want to joke around, even though, of course, I only know him through video. But he clearly knew the area.
Yeah, and they proved that when they brought him up to the mountains.
Renee couldn't explain it.
Even though she still said, yeah, it's not a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I was just like...
Well, that when she brought that up, I made a joke, kind of a joke, and it was a lame joke, and I said, why does a Bigfoot want to cross the road? Clearly to get to the other side. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's going to cross the road eventually. It's not just going to stay in the middle of, like, two highways forever.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's hard to reason out, but I mean, she makes a valid point for sure. I mean, she definitely makes a valid point, but maybe that was just what the Sasquatch was waiting for. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that he wanted to like jump out and scare someone, but I'm saying like maybe that was the thing that said, okay, there are people here, I need to move now, and that's why it leapt out. to get away from the area because now it knew there were people around.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
She makes a valid point, though. I'm going to say that she makes a valid argument for why it could not have been, but it makes more sense for me that it was, given the context, given that the amount of steps that the figure took, supposedly, as Joe said, compared to Bobo. You know, Bobo's about my height, and you don't get people much taller than that. I mean, I'm 6'5", so, you know, it's unlikely that a guy was out there in a gorilla costume walking across a road looking at some guy in a snowplow. It seems unlikely to me. So, I mean, especially a guy who's 7'5". I mean, Joe said that it was about a full foot taller than Bobo, so.
Well, I can 100% say that it wasn't the elusive Batman creature. That.
If anyone gets that reference, leave a comment. I'm not even going to explain it. Just leave a comment if you get the reference.
Oh my god. Okay, back to Bigfoot. I just had to say it. I found an opportunity and I said it. Yeah.
I found that last sighting very compelling. The college kid, I didn't think he was lying. But again, we had Bobo alone, so he was very closed-minded about it.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm choking.
It's interesting to note that Adam wrote out his entire will inside of a YouTube comment.
Exactly. You want to see my will? Just go on YouTube.
Ironically, it was left on one of my videos.
but anyways, back to finding Bigfoot. Yeah, it was just the other ones didn't seem to. The other two really didn't. I didn't really believe them.
There were two. I thought they only did 2 sightings this episode because they were at the Folklore person.
Sorry, you are correct. The only 2. The other person I just didn't believe.
I didn't really even find. It wasn't that I didn't believe him. It was that I didn't find him that compelling, and the investigation was kind of poorly done in terms of that particular witness. Because again, Bobo went into it saying, "Yeah, it was probably Bigfoot," and then he went through it, kind of saying, you know, okay, he's a hunter, so that immediately says, okay, he's a trained eye. And then when he walked up to him and said, I'm not even going to ask you what else it could have been. You know it was a Sasquatch. And I was like, that's not how you carry out an investigation. So, Bobo needs to improve next season.
Yeah, he most certainly does. He needs to get more skeptical. But even I'm finding Moneymaker even. He's still very.
I like him. I've been liking him more recently, though.
Yeah.
He was very objective last episode, and this episode, he still said that it was a Sasquatch in that opening video, but he was still very objective about it, I thought.
Yeah.
And then with but I mean that call at the end. I mean, I guess we'll get to that in a minute, but that call at the end, I thought was pretty much gold, but with the Joe thing, I thought that he was objective about it, so,
may I also just say, I was very happy to see them actually take Joe with him, or with them.
Yes, I was too. I thought that was a good idea.
I thought it was a good idea, because not only is it like an extra pair of eyes and ears, but it's somebody who's really familiar with the area, way more than them.
And it's someone who's not a squatcher.
Which actually, I'm kind of for that. I was for this before this video, or the season finale, that I think that they should take somebody who's not a squatcher but yet familiar with the area with them.
Yeah. For sure.
Because even if they don't believe in Bigfoot, it's still helpful to, you know, have someone who knows where the hell they're going.
Especially if it's someone who doesn't believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah, I'd actually prefer that if it was somebody who doesn't believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way: if you get someone who's like, someone who does believe in Bigfoot and knows the area, they're going to come out here and act like they just want to be on TV.
Right. Well, the other thing that I would like to, if they do believe in Bigfoot, I'd hope they're like Cliff.
Yes. Cliff has been great this entire latter half of the season.
The latter half of the season, he's been epic. Like him and Renee are my two faves. Even as much as I diss on Moneymaker, though, I still like him.
Yeah.
Well, I like them all. It's just I just like Cliff and Renee more.
Yeah. Well, it all comes down to they're more objective and more credible.
Right.
So that's, those are the people who we find more compelling and we find more interesting to listen to their opinions on things because they are more objective. I mean, when you get someone who's a little bit more, I don't know, radical even in their opinions and almost always it's a Sasquatch, then it's not as compelling. And that's honestly why I also prefer Cliff and Renee's opinions on things, because they take things in a more objective, what do we have to rule out first kind of way.
Right.
And I prefer that way.
I guess if I was to call myself anything, if I was to compare myself to one of them, I'd have to be more like Cliff, because I do believe in Bigfoot, but yet I do question nearly everything like Renee does.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not, even though I do believe in them, and it's, again, simply like what Renee wants, which is what I'm very happy to hear her say, is that she wants to see one. She genuinely wants to see one. She wants to believe that there is a Sasquatch out there. But until she sees one, she cannot say that they exist. And essentially that was how I was until I had my first experience. So I totally understand why she's acting the way she is.
Yeah, totally.
So on to the call.
So what do you think?
Real.
Absolutely.
I wanted to know, my father brought this up. My father and I watch it together.
Oh, we did. It's weird. Me and my dad did too for this last one.
He was like, "Oh, that could have been an elk," and I said, "Dad, that is not an elk. I know what a friggin' elk sounds like. That is not an elk." He was like, "Well, it could be a cow too. Could you rewind it?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll rewind it." And I rewound it and played it again. And he grew up on a farm. That's why he said it could have been a bull. And I started seeing where he was coming from, actually, and I was like, yeah, that could be a cow. But then I listened to it again. I was like, no way, that's a friggin' cow. And my father was like, yeah, that was not a cow.
I mean, the way that Cliff described it as being like a man yelling, and I was like, yeah, but it was more guttural than a man. So that,
way more guttural than a man.
Yeah, and the fact that it doesn't sound like anything else that could be out there, I have to say that it was probably a Sasquatch.
I think they heard a Sasquatch that day.
I do too.
Or that night.
I do too.
By far the best call, or the best answer they've ever gotten back.
I agree. I mean, that was the most distinct, for sure.
And you heard echo.
Yep.
And then something else I would like to know. They say that it never answered back. And my father was questioning that. Why doesn't it answer back? And then my answer was maybe it figured it out that I wasn't really a Sasquatch calling.
Right, especially with them doing it back and forth. So, Sasquatch is supposed to be this smart animal. It probably reasoned in its head, these are probably people. I should move away and be quiet.
Yeah. But that was a really good answer back.
Yeah, very distinct, very guttural. That's the thing that struck me about it. It hit me somewhere that nothing else they've ever recorded in the show has hit me. It immediately said to me, "Oh my God, what the hell is that?"
Yeah. God damn, it sent shivers up my spine listening to that thing.
Yeah, the only thing about it is that the Sasquatch calls are very, very they're very diverse, or the ones that are supposedly Sasquatch calls. They range from almost sounding like a baby crying to like this King Kong-esque roar. And I think this was closer to the more King Kong-esque roar. And if I may go into another one of my bullshit theories, again, since I complain about this every week, I'm not going to speak in absolutes. This is a theory that I have just from what I've heard in terms of what supposed Sasquatch calls are. This is my bullshit theory, or this is my theory. I think that the range of pitches could be explained as two things: age difference and sex difference. And I don't think I really need to distinguish between those. The more high-pitched could either be a younger Sasquatch or a female Sasquatch, and the guttural ones, the lower pitch and the more growly ones, older males.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that, actually, for the most part. Because, I mean, why not? I mean, if, like, actually, I think every animal on the planet goes through puberty. So, why would a Sasquatch be exempt from that? So,
that almost would be like saying there's only one Sasquatch in the country.
Yeah, I can't believe how many people actually believe that. But
whenever someone who doesn't believe in Bigfoot or isn't interested by the phenomenon talks about Bigfoot, they talk about it like it's one creature.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
No, well, absolutely not. I mean, if it was, then I would say no.
It's Jesus. That's what I'd say.
Then you know what? Why wouldn't there be a Batman out there stalking small towns?
I know. And I know damn well that this Batman creature did not lose a bet.
He doesn't have any money to bet.
Yeah, right.
He's not rich or anything.
Right. Oh man, that call was so good. And I like it how, was his name Joe? The guy who,
Yes, his guy.
I love it how he was like, it was almost like he sounded speechless.
Yeah, he was like, that was cool.
That was cool, but creepy. Because I know damn well if I was out in the woods, I would not want to hear a freaking call like that.
If I was out in the woods and heard that, I'd need a new pair of pants.
I'd shit my pants and run like a little girl.
Yes.
I would run like a little girl.
Well, with the shit in your pants, it'd be hard, but yeah.
I can feel it going down my leg. It's so gross. But I don't want to get eaten.
It's the cannibalistic one from Abominable.
It's so funny.
That car didn't kill him.
So funny. Actually, yeah, it did. It killed him, but the other ones dragged him away.
Yeah.
One of the best friggin' endings ever. You just see all the eyes.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Sequel, Abominables. It'll be like Aliens.
Right.
Game over, man. Game over.
Such an enjoyably bad movie.
Oh, I didn't even think it was that bad. I just thought it was. I thought it was okay. It was the best sci-fi movie I've ever seen.
I always, my hunting buddy and I, we always watch it before we go out hunting. It's like a tradition now. But, yeah, what were your overall opinions of the season of Finding Bigfoot?
I thought it was a vast improvement over the last season. I just thought they were doing things better. Some of the running complaints I doubt will ever get fixed. Matt and Bobo's absolute talking, I don't think they're ever going to change. I doubt it. I mean, they've been doing this for so long. Regardless of being on a TV show, they've been doing this for over 20 years. I doubt that we're going to see them change their overall way of approaching an investigation much in this show. And what they have changed, I commend them for. They are a very likable group of people to follow. Therefore, that makes them compelling. They have interesting theories, insight, opinions, a way of doing things that I've never seen before. They seem very professional in most cases, and, you know, I know a lot of people complain about their sense of humor, but hey, you know, if they didn't have a sense of humor, I probably wouldn't have as much fun watching them as I do, so.
Well, it's geek humor most of the time. That's what I find funny.
Yeah.
Only squatchers will get it.
Yeah, right. So I don't have a lot of things that I would like them to change in Season 3, and thank God they are doing a Season 3. Damn it, they need to find him. And I thought that this season was almost I could almost call it excellent, but I have too many running complaints to call it that. But in terms of the show overall, it was a great improvement over Season 1, and I thought this was, of the two, the best season.
I have to agree with pretty much everything that you said. I don't think Matt and Bobo are really going to change, even though I do have some hope that Matt Moneymaker will.
He's slowly doing it, but Bobo, I think, is just going to stick with his pattern.
Yeah. But it was just so much better, and I was so worried because in the first season, Cliff was like Moneymaker and Bobo.
He was.
And he was like this for the first half of the season, but then all of a sudden, I don't know what the hell happened, but then all of a sudden he was like, yeah, I'm going to be really skeptical now.
Hey man, it was the start of this show. No, it definitely wasn't.
Damn friggin' right, it was at the start of this show.
They probably recorded this months before we started this show.
I know they have. It's a joke. Laugh, damn it, laugh.
I have no sense of humor. It was stolen by a Sasquatch.
See, now that wasn't funny.
Was it?
That was not funny.
Or do you just have no sense of humor?
It was no fun. That was not funny. I have a sense of humor. Monkeys aren't funny. Kudos if anybody understands that reference.
Okay.
Looking forward to Season 3. They're going international.
Hopefully they won't call it Finding Bigfoot International, because that'll be a ripoff.
Oh, yeah, that'd be horrible.
And a ripoff.
Yeah. Looking forward to their new adventures around the world.
Yes. I am too.
So, this will be the final episode of the Afterthoughts of Finding Bigfoot until the next season starts, which we will again do weekly, just like we have done with this show. Again, I apologize for last week there not being a video. I was recovering from mono, so I did not want to friggin' do a video while, you know, talking like this and then hacking up even more than I already am and falling asleep at the same time. So
it'd be more like the Billy Wurster show.
Yeah, that's an accurate comparison, actually.
I don't think anyone wants that.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Okay, so nice season, Bill.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait for the international squatching.
It's gonna be awesome.
Indeed.
So I'm Adam Noyes.
I'm Bill Wurster.
And sayonara, and see you next season.